Hey guys, a lot of times you hear me interviewing lots of amazing guests, but today you get to hear me being interviewed by someone else. Check it out.
Well, I'll start by kind of talking about what made me go into being a business broker and writing, the book that I wrote about grow, scale, and exit, how to sell your business for millions. It was someone close to me decided to sell their counseling business, and they spent about 10 years building it. They ended up moving and wanting to sell it, and they ended up selling it for $50,000. And I remember hearing that, like, after 10 years of working, they sold it for 50 grand. And I was like, that's kind of crazy. And the more I looked at the numbers, the reason became clear. And it was some things that they needed to do because buyers don't value the owner's labor, right? Buyers value the profit that exists without the owner. And so I think that was one story. And then another one was a woman came to me after her husband tragically passed away, and we ended up selling her business for $40,000. And that was a miracle that we sold it for that. And the truth is, her husband had been the entire operation. He was the technician, the service provider, the one that went into the homes. He did everything. And so when he passed away, that engine that powered the entire company basically disappeared with him. They need to think, if I got cancer tomorrow, if I died tomorrow, what would this business be worth? And exactly what you can do to sell your business for millions. 80% of businesses actually never sell. And most founders say they want to sell their business one day, and very few actually build a business that can be sold.
The key thing that always comes up for me in doing this is that you need to go on vacation. And in order to really learn how to run a business and have a business that's sellable, you need to go on vacation, because then you're going to find out everything that's broke. Because every time your phone pings with something they need you for, or everything that stops in the process, that's broken. And that's what needs to be fixed. And, I learned that. It took frustration. Like, why are you bothering me for this? Why are you bothering? And I was mad at them for bothering me. And ultimately I was like, it's not their fault. It's my fault, because they don't have the answer. There's not a manual. There's not a process. There's not somebody else to do it. And so it's all dependent on my decisions. And when you have that key man, problem, then you are really going to struggle to sell, because then somebody's buying your job.
What makes a business valuable to a buyer?
Well, to me, the number one thing is recurring revenue. And I think this is the thing that I can help people, me and my husband both help people do more than anything else, is we can go into a business and figure out the 8 different recurring revenue models that produce income. And I talk about them. I talk about 8 different models. And the best analogy I will give you is either the refill model, where if you think about the Dollar Shave Club, right? Like, I love this company. It's such a brilliant company, right? Because you always need a razor, right? Guys need razors, girls need razors. It's a commodity. Everyone needs it. And every single month, these people are sending you a new razor. So with the car wash, if you think about car washes, right? There's a car wash we just helped that created a model where now they have $20 a month. Every single month you get unlimited car washes. It used to be, you don't want to keep chopping down the tree every single month over and over again. You need to come up with a recurring revenue model. And what happens is people get in the day-to-day and they can't come up with it. They're like, oh, maybe for that business it will work. And you wouldn't believe how many new recurring revenue models we've created, and that 10x is a business. I'll give you an example of something that we just did. We decided to buy air purifiers for our house. We bought 2 different ones. We bought one that was called Jasper and one that was called Air Doctor. Jasper, when we first bought it, we didn't even realize it, but literally it must have been some little button that, said, please send me a new air filter every 6 months. Air Doctor, when we bought it, it never asked us that. So every 6 months I get a new air filter. Think about how much revenue, because you forget to get a new air filter. You forget that you need that. So the valuation on Jasper is going to be a whole lot higher than Air Doctor if they can't figure out a way to start doing that recurring revenue. So that's just another example of how powerful recurring revenue strategy is, and coming up with that for every business. And so if you want to exit for real money, you actually have to completely change your mindset from the very beginning. And you can't just look at it as, I just want to make income. And I have an analogy that I talk about in the book. It's called the CARTS framework. And C stands for, you want a commodity. You want something that people need, right? Because if you sell something that no one needs, then that's not going to work. And then A stands for automatable. You've got to figure out how to automate things. R stands for replicable. And you've got to be able to figure out how to repeat the process, because if something only works in one location because of one person, you can't scale, right? Like a lemonade stand that only works with you, that's not going to work. And then the last one is trainable. An average person, not a genius. If only a genius can run it, then it's going to be fragile. McDonald's trained thousands of teenagers. Chick-fil-A, my son works at Chick-fil-A. He's 15 years old, and he's able to deliver that same chicken nuggets and the same chicken sandwich every single day, the same way every day. And that's trainability. And then the last one is just simple. And I think that most of us as founders really make things complicated. Simplicity scales. And so complexity fails. Filling your mind with these amazing podcasts. Thank you, Dan, for putting this on and getting this out there for people. But, reading books. I know you've got a new book coming out too that I can't wait to read. And just really getting this information out so that people can start thinking differently just from the start.